All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today is going to be our second live public demonstration of some of the Reflex products as part of the suite. And today we're going to be primarily focusing on the Reflex web portal. Some other things might crop up throughout our tour of this, but that'll be where our emphasis mainly lies. And we'll just go ahead and kick it off with some of the simplest actions that you can do with the web portal, which is logging into it, getting started with it. So if you have a Reflex account, you can utilize the credentials of your Reflex account, your username and password, or any other login method that you've set up with your Reflex app, whether it be Reflex for the iPhone or Reflex Pro. And you can log in with that same method on the web portal, and you'll have all of your information and data accessible to you. Now, if you're interested in following along, or if you're watching this at a later date and you'd like to know what the actual URL for this is, it is up here. It is web portal, or it's web-portal.reflexapp.io. And you can also, if you go to our website, reflexapp.io, you'll be able to have a button in the top right-hand corner of our webpage that'll take you directly to the web portal as well. So I utilize an email password combination in order to log into my account. You can select this Keep Me Logged In checkbox right here, which I'm going to go ahead and select. And then I'm going to select email and password login. So go ahead and do that. And here we are at the home page. Now this is going to look just a little bit different from what your setup is. Namely, you're not going to have all these actions down here because I'm an administrator for the platform, and so therefore I have these particular tests. Now I could have used a demonstration account, but one of the test methods that I want to show you, or one of the test sets I want to show you, is under my primary account. So we're going to go ahead and roll with that. Now you'll also have these three options down here. But first, let's go ahead and just look at the home screen, or what we call the learning portal for Reflex. So here you can see that there are multiple videos and pieces of information available. So here you get kind of like a selection of what videos you would like to watch as far as tutorials are considered. So this first one here is taking your first test. This is for newbies, novices relating to the Reflex platform. And you can go ahead and watch this. I believe this might be the video that pops up in the application itself whenever it's your first time utilizing the app. And then you can also select these buttons, and they will take you to a PDF if there's like a deeper dive available. So this is our quick start guide available for Reflex. So we'll close out of that. Another one would be like this deep dive right here, where you can see that there's alpha omega detections. And we give you like a quick little walkthrough on how that operates. So yeah, a lot of good learning, educational related content here. And you can utilize that at your leisure. They're categorized on what they're available for, and it's just a useful repository of information from a video and PDF standpoint. If you scroll down even further, what you're going to find is a resource selection. So these are curated. There are papers that specifically feature Reflex. And so you can go ahead and take a look at those. And then we also have a number of pupilometric articles in each one of these submenus that you can take a look at. That'll be pretty useful if you're ever utilizing something for neurodegeneration related to Reflex. You can refer to some of these, and they might give you some good information. On top of that, we have a few other pieces of information here. So when we first launched the app, we wrote this white paper, which is basically an internal publication about how it works and some of the metrics associated with it. One of the biggest things I like to call out in this is essentially how accurate Reflex is. We've improved the error rate since this publishing. I think it's at 2.8% now. But yeah, there's a lot of good information and about the impacts of utilization in a clinical setting. So we give you a few examples relating to this, and this is probably one of the cooler ones, which is in anesthesiology, where you can see the actual depression of the pupilogram as someone is under anesthesia. So that's kind of a neat little diagram there, and if you wanted to take a look at that, you can see it's reference 25 in this particular paper itself. So on top of that, we'll get into this later, but we also have a template for you for something we'll discuss later for bulk adding patients. But now that we've covered that, let's also go through maybe some quick other little things that are a part of the web portal. So we have this message center here. This is one way that our team can communicate with all of you. We typically utilize this for, as you can see here, scheduled maintenance that might come up, or if we have new feature announcements that will make your life easier as part of like your assessments or working with your patients. Another way that we communicate with you is push notifications to the app, but we have a tendency not to utilize this as often since we're not like let's say a Facebook, right? We don't really have much of a need to constantly ping you and annoy you with information. Those are usually for more critical things that are occurring. If there's some sort of like outage or challenge with the app, then we can go ahead and send that out to you. And then we also have settings in here. So all the settings that you can customize within the app itself, you can do here. So you can adjust your settings within the web portal. Kind of a nice little layout. It's you'll notice that in the app settings, they're on multiple pages here. It's like all together, all on one page. So that's really useful if you're looking for something consolidated. We also have billing where you can utilize this to set up your billing or update it through the web portal. And then also if you want to change your password, all these things exist here. And they're just, nice little nice to haves and feature sets for the web portal itself. And then obviously we have a logout option whenever you're complete with your session. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go into the trending and exports tab over here in the menu. Now you can dismiss this menu at any time by clicking, they call this a hamburger icon. So you can click that at any time to dismiss that menu. And then you can also do some filtering here if you'd like. So you can search. So we'll go with Curtis Valsal, if I can spell. So we'll see that the test set that I'm looking for is right here. We filtered it down. And then also if you wanted, you can select C organization tests. These will pull up all of the tests underneath your organization. But I'm going to deselect that because really this is the only one that we care about. And we'll get to this more in just a second. But another thing that we can do is we can create a patient in the web portal. So we can select new patient, and you can either do a single patient or a batch patient. Now with the batch patient, we gave you that CSV template that we mentioned right at the beginning of this stream. You can grab that and fill it out and then upload it. It gives you a really nice, easy way to just upload. We've seen over 100 being uploaded at once. And this is for, like if you have a large team that you want to put inside the Reflex web portal or inside your like Reflex suite, right? Because all this will be represented in the app itself. Or maybe you are a clinician and you have your patients tabulated and you think it's just easiest to go ahead and upload all of their information into Reflex. So whenever they come in for the next visit, their profile is already created and you're ready to go. And all you have to do is just search their patient ID and just kind of, you're ready to rock and roll and start testing. So yeah, that's a nice little feature enhancement. And then you can just do a regular new patient, a single patient. You can fill this all out right here. It matches the app itself except for these two little things right here. So whenever we are sending out Reflex telehealth tests, which is part of our Reflex Pro suite plus telehealth. So Reflex Pro does not automatically come with that, but you can request to have telehealth added on. And you need an email address for the patient in order to get the telehealth assessment to them. Now we have this phone number option. Notice that neither of them are required, but we have a phone number option for future possible text-based sending for the patient's test link. So that would be a pretty useful tool. As it is right now, email is the way we work, and that's the most convenient option for the time being, and this might be added in the future, but you can put in both if you'd like. It's up to you. We won't ever use this to contact the patient directly. and they have the ability to chat with us directly in the app. So this is purely just for communication with our services to the patient through you. And then we have the regular identifying data, so you can go ahead and fill that out like usual. So we'll cancel this because we're not creating a new patient. And we can also export tests. So we can export by a particular date range. So like let's say we took a bunch of tests over the course of like a week or so. Then we can select this, or all date range exports, not export. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's just misselection on my end. So you can do the by date range in order to export, or we can do selected. Oh, see, that's what it is. So I can export these. That's my bad. And then I can tap selected, and then it'll go ahead and export these to my email. So that export's been requested, and actually now might be a good time for us to just go ahead and do the exported test history. And you can see right here that we have the most recent exportation for Reflex completed up here. So it's created at 3:41:03. This was the first one that I attempted. And look, so see, now it has downloaded and we are good to go. But both of these are the PDF forms. So it just doubled up on them. That's my bad. And then we have these actions here where we can download directly from the web portal. Like let's say if for whatever reason it didn't download, or we can just delete this out of the exports altogether. I don't remember if there is a time frame set for these to pop up of here. I know that I've exported a number of patients, so there must be quite a few that have fallen off in my history, so there must be a cooldown period. But yeah, these are going to be all the most recent ones that you've done. So let's go back to the training and exports. Again, we're looking at this Curtis Valsalva test set, and this is a test set where I was doing Valsalva maneuvers and testing my pupillary light reflex with Reflex on the iPhone, because that's relatively easy for me to do in quick succession whenever I'm doing these maneuvers. And so when you click this chevron right here, you'll be able to see all of the tests underneath that particular patient ID. And then you can see that each one of these has a particular action for the patient. So if you wanted to export just a single test for the patient, then you can do that with this action button. You could delete it, or you could even toggle a particular test being a baseline. So that's kind of a neat little feature with the web portal, is that you can turn on and off baseline tests. So this will basically, select baseline in the past from a test that you've taken, and it'll start comparing some of the metrics that you'll see in Reflex Pro, which we went through in our last public demo. So if you want to get in touch with that, just go ahead and review that video. It's Reflex Pro public demo number 1. This is Reflex Pro demo number 2. And you'll see where baseline comes in the trending and charting aspects of Reflex Pro. You can do baseline comparisons for some of that data, which is pretty useful. So any individual test you can select. So even if I deselect actions, I can go ahead and select the test itself. And you can see that I have the video of my eye that was tested, the pupillogram. This is the startle response. So I get a lot of questions about that, but this is the startle response for the light turning on. And then you'll see all the same data that you would have presented to you in the Reflex app. The only key difference here is that we also put the normative data ranges in the same output. Now, any export that you do with the PDF, you're going to see these same ranges, but with the web portal itself, you get to see them along with the test information without the PDF. So this can be a useful hub for you if you're just trying to do normative data comparisons. You can see my amplitude was a little on the lower end from normal ranges. This is actually because I was doing this in front of a relatively bright window. So there wasn't a ton of motion in my pupil, and you'll actually see that in the charting or in the trending here that we're going to do here in just a second. And then just some more information relating to the concussion tests and the test information itself, and then any notes. You'll see all note history that you've put into the app on here as well. and then you can go ahead and make your own notes. Save that, you'll see that. So these are immutable, you can't change them, much like in the last public demo. Okay, so yeah, this is a quick little overview. If you had both eyes, which we may show here in a minute, but you'll see right and left, and you'll be able to, in both, and you'll be able to toggle between them, just like in the applications, no different. Okay, so this is where things deviate from the app quite a bit. So the web portal has the ability to do controlled charting and trending, which is a very helpful tool for many of our customers. So you can go in and you can see all notes relating to this particular patient. We have the export. We can edit this this particular patient ID, or we can delete it altogether. But what we're mainly focused on, since we've covered all those things, is the trending aspect of this. So we're gonna go ahead and select trending. Now you can, depending on the breadth of your utilization of Reflex, how you're using it, and the number of tests you've seen, like maybe the frequency you've seen a particular patient has been quite a bit, and so you've accumulated a number of tests, like quite a few tests, maybe it's like 20, 40, 60 tests underneath one particular patient. You can filter by a date range, which is pretty helpful. Now I'm going to go ahead and filter this by date range just for fun, just to show you guys how this would operate. So we're going to go to today, which is June 27th. And so look, well, that's our range. We're basically taking all the tests that we have to date for filtering. So we also have a quick view of all those tests, and we can select which one specifically we want to put into our trending and control charting, or you can go ahead and use this to select all. So you can either do individual ones if you want these, or you can select all for all of those particular tests, and then you can filter by test type. Now in this particular situation, we were interested in constrict test types, which is basically the light being on the entire time, and the Valsalva maneuver's impact on the pupilogram and the pupillary parameters. So that's why you only get the one option. So if there is only one option available, it's only going to present that to you, and you'll select that. And then you can filter for both eye, or you can do right eye. Say reset the filter right, because there are only right eyes. If I select left eye, there's none. So I only did right eyes for this particular one. So we'll select right eye, we'll select all, and then you can select or deselect all parameters. Now, if you have a specific parameter that you're looking for, definitely go ahead and just select whichever ones you're wanting to look at. If you're a first-time user, I recommend that you just go ahead and select all. That way you can get a feel for all the parameters that are available and their impact. Now, anything that you do pick, so like let's say you picked constriction time and average constriction speed, you can save these defaults for the next time around for when you are when you're utilizing the web portal again. So you can click save defaults here. We'll go ahead and save all of this, and then on the next time around you can click load defaults. So I can click save, and I click load, and it'll load everything up, which is what I already had, right? That makes sense. And then yeah, so it's a nice quick way for you to be able to do the same thing over and over again. Now, finally, before we go into the results, because I know that we're just itching to get there, we have these view graphs and tables, view graphs or view tables. Graphs are probably the most useful thing in this, so I highly recommend that you always utilize the graphs. Tables are helpful to pick which data out of the sequence you're looking at, and then it's specific values. But we're going to go ahead and do both so you can see both. So we're going to go ahead and go to results. And you can see that we have the Valsalva maneuver data that I received from testing myself. And these are what we call the tables. So each one of these is just giving you a little information relating to the test itself and the data contributed to it. And then you can also hover over the graph itself, and then it will give you the data there. So relatively useful tool, because you can get timestamps and specific data without having to hover over it. So you can get that all right here. And then each one of these charts can be blown out so you can get a full screen view, and then we can just go up here and select this and minimize it to go see the rest of them. But like I said, my eyes didn't have as high of an amplitude. So the way you read this is that this gray line is going to be the control line or limit. This is basically the average. This is the mean for the data that we have in our database, which is currently backed up by 110,000 tests. And then you have this upper control line or limit, and you have this lower control line or limit. So normal ranges are going to fall within this range here. Now, normal in pupillometry is an interesting one. So these are just one standard deviation away from the mean. What that means is that there's another, like, I want to say it's maybe like 33% of the population that falls outside of that. And so the general concept is like it's a guiding light to look deeper into it, but somebody can naturally be outside of those ranges just physiologically, and that's how they are. So, and I mean, that kind of makes sense too. This is a pretty narrow range. We're looking at an amplitude of 0.75 all the way up to 2.75, so that's only 2 millimeters of play for amplitude. So now if these are way far out, then you know that there's a particular problem. Right now, during this test sequence, I was skirting the edge. So now we know how to read these, and if we had both eyes, you'd see another color for the left eye as well. Makes sense, right? So, but since we're just looking at the right eye, because we're keeping it nice and simple, we can just take a look at these control charts and see how these tests stacked up over time. Now, all of these were done on the same day, and they were done at varying time intervals. And what we noticed is that, let's see, let's go with this maximum diameter. We'll just choose this one. We have a at this second test point is when I did my first Valsalva maneuver, and at the sixth test point is when I did the second one, and then I did subsequent follow-ups after those as well. Now, in this range here, I did multiples to see if I could keep my tone sustained during this endeavor. So did a test, and then cooled down for a few minutes, test, cooled down for a few minutes, and then tested, and then worked to sustain that. So you can see that clearly there's obvious impact of me performing this maneuver, which is a breath maneuver that increases sympathetic tone. And we're able to review these plots and see that particular impact over time as it related to that particular test method and its pupilogram output from the app itself. So very useful information. People utilize this for patient follow-ups. They use it for conducting research over many months and comparing tests. They do it sometimes in the same way I utilize it, where you do multiple tests in a single day and then see the patient impact relating to that. But in general, it's a very consolidated, useful view where you get to see the mean for that age-controlled standard along with the limits of those control charts, and then the actual data itself. So that's kind of the quick summary of all of this. And then you can get your pupillograms down here on the bottom. And so we'll only superimpose so many on a single chart just because it can become a mess very quickly, as you can see. And then we have these tables down here where you can see for each test and the pupilogram itself, all the data underneath that particular test all in one place. So again, more data visualization, useful, helpful. Use it at your leisure, but we highly recommend the web portal is your place to go for some more intense data analysis relating to reflex. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and close this out. And then the final thing I want to go through is the Reflex telehealth dashboard. So this is for Reflex Pro users that have the telehealth feature added to it. And you can see that I had one, but it loaded because it was cached, and then it took it away because I actually don't have any telehealth requests out right now. So we can send out a new test. Let's just say we already have a patient in the system. Now you can still create the new patient just like we did before. It's nothing new under the trending and exports tab. But we can go ahead and select a new test, and we can say, okay, I want to send one to Curtis, me. I can select this, and then what it's going to do is load up all that information, and I can select a stop date for when this test will be open. So here's how it works. For Reflex Telehealth, it will send a unique link to the patient, and they need an iPhone, and that link is a deep link that will let them download the patient-sided application called Reflex Telehealth, and it'll allow them to take a remote test anywhere in the world, and you'll be able to receive data as the clinician on how their eyes are doing, how their autonomics are doing. So, like let's say I have a patient in the UK, and they're traveling right now, and I want more consistent data because maybe they're experiencing some problems, or maybe it's something that we do checkups like on a weekly basis. But I can send this to them, they can do a test, plumb it back, and I can review the results. And the results look just like what we did before. There's no change in that. The only difference is that it will ping you on the telehealth dashboard if new results have come in with a little red icon. But for this, let's just say, we want the stop date to be in the future because it's 3:56 now. So we'll do this for tomorrow, and we'll just make this 12 p.m. noon. And so then we can select how many or which eyes we want tested, right, left, or both. I always recommend both. And then we can signify whether or not we want this to be a baseline test. And then you have to utilize a protocol. So we'll select that. This is just alpha omega protocol. You'll have a standard test protocol that's, if you have telehealth added, that's part of your test suite. For this, I have my own, so I'm just utilizing this alpha omega. This is the 5-second one, so I'm just selecting this. And then you can decide what you want the email subject to be. So if it's coming from my office, if I was a clinician and I was sending this out, I could say like, oh, this is Sluice Clinic. We'll say remote test. Because why not? Just coming up with this on the fly. And this will be in the subject line whenever it's sent out. You can put your clinic name on here. You can put your name or, doctor whoever, and then signify what it is. And then we have the identifying information in here. Let's see. So this is everything relating to the particular patient. And then all that information down there. And so when I click update, what it's going to do is it's going to send out that email. Okay, so it's letting me know that's been saved. That request has been sent out to me, confirmed because my phone just pinged and said that that email was received. And then whenever I take the test, it is going to show up here. You can see all of the tests underneath here. But whenever a new test comes in, it will highlight with a little red dot, and then you'll be able to go into here, select this, and then review the most recent tests. So that is the Reflex Telehealth dashboard. So with that, I always try to keep these between 20 and 30 minutes. The telehealth the web portal is kind of a relatively deep tool, so it took us a little longer this time around. But overall, I hope that you found this to be a useful walkthrough. I know it's really rough, really quick. If you would like a more detailed walkthrough and one that is a little more like scripted and nice looking, you can definitely go to our web portal just like we showed now, and you can see that we have a Reflex Telehealth video here along with a deep dive relating to it and how you get started with Reflex Telehealth. So all that's available to you online. So that being said, thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, you can email me directly at kslUSS@brightlamp.org, or you can chat with us directly. If you go to the web portal, you'll be able to do it right here. And you can send me a message. I get that directly, and I will reply to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.